Hi, it's Gordon here. I don't normally do reviews on YouTube, but I was watching Matt from the Pen Habit talking about the Edison Beaumont pen, and I thought I would give my own views on this because I've had one for a while. I bought this from the writing desk in England, and it's not a hugely expensive pen. It's hand turned, I believe, from acrylic, and what you can't really see in this light is that the acrylic is very deep. All of this patterning across here, it's down inside the acrylic. I'll try and let you see that. It doesn't really show up. What you can see there is Edison Beaumont, Edison Pen Company Beaumont written on the side there. But I thought I would talk about the size issue that Matt raised. I tend to agree with him that it is a little bit on the small side for me. Just to get it in perspective, I'll uncap it. This is a broad nib. So you can see the Edison logo there, and that's a broad. I'll compare it to a Lamy. That's the Lamy All-Star, which is the same size as the Safari. So you can see it's a reasonable bit smaller. Compare it to something else. Parker Vector, another common pen. Slightly longer because of the nib size, but you can see that the barrel and section are actually shorter. So it is quite a short pen in the hand, although it does post. And to compare it to a vintage pen, this is a Conway Stewart 388, which is generally considered a lady's pen. And if we compare those, you can see that they are actually a very similar size. The Conway Stewart is much narrower. You can see there's a bit of nib creep there. It's needing a good clean. You can see that there's quite a lot of similarity even in the acrylic. The difference being that this is a separate end on the Beaumont. They are actually remarkably similar pens in many ways. Of course, the Beaumont is based on lots of generic, different manufacturers' pens. Really, it's a style of pen, flat top pen, that's been quite popular. So, some of the things that I like about this pen, it's a very light pen, and there's times when that's useful. I tend to go for a slightly heavier pen, like Matt. It doesn't, I don't think, post particularly firmly. I do feel that this tends to come loose if you do post it, and I do worry about scratching it, so I'm probably not pushing it in far enough. The main issue with this, compared to every other pen that I have, is it is slightly dry, but it's not consistently dry, in that when I uncap this pen, and it takes a bit of time for the ink to flow properly, it will be dry for a couple of lines and then it will suddenly start to come right. And I suspect that's a feed issue, and it may relate specifically to the broad nib. The nib itself has quite a reasonable amount of feedback, which is odd for a Jowo nib. These are German nibs. I have a couple of Jowo nibs which I got from Goulet, and I have them on other pens, and they are not like that. They're much smoother, so whether they are just been made to different specification, I don't know. Manufacturing wise, the put together of the thing is very, very good. I mean, it's a Cartridge converter pen. The converter that's supplied, I think, is a Schmidt converter. It's certainly a very good quality one with a rubber seal where the converter goes in. It's not just relying on plastic. So that itself is a good thing. It's got reasonable ink capacity in there. You can't turn it into an eyedropper because this section here is a separate part. And that's one of the things about the manufacturing of this that is a bit odd. There is actually a very definite line there that I can feel with my finger all the way around. And we don't get that on the vintage Conway Stewart, of course, because the cap is here. It's just a tiny thin top cap on the Conway Stewart, but there really isn't any line there to feel. The other strange thing about this pen is the band. If I rub my finger in, I can feel that the band is set into the plastic, which is presumably correct. But as I come round to this side, it's actually sitting proud of the plastic here. I don't know how they put these rings on, but that is a little bit of inconsistency there, and I always find my fingers going to that or to this when I'm holding it in my hand. One thing I have to say about this pen is that everybody loves it. Everybody wants to look at this pen because of that 3D effect of the acrylic. You can start to see it just here. As I turn it, the light is being reflected underneath the surface of the plastic. So overall, if the ink flow was as good as other pens that I've got, like TWSBI, if it was more consistent, and you know, I think it's to do with it drying out. I think what's happening is that the feed is not as airtight in there as some other pens. So if it was just a bit more consistent on the ink flow, this would get a much higher rating from me. As it is, I would give it an 8 out of 10. I would definitely recommend buying one of these, particularly if you like a lighter pen and a slightly smaller pen. If they made a version of this where the body was about 10 or 15% bigger, then I would probably buy that. But that's what I think of the Edison Beaumont. It is a good pen, and Edison are very good as well. I certainly am considering buying another Edison at some point and waiting to see what they come up with their new one. But there we are. It writes well. It's a good broad line. And that's all I've got to say about this at the moment. Bye for now.